Was it good morning or hello? Okay, here we go. Hello, I'm Kegan from SoCal N Club, and this is Derek, and we're here to give our take and review over the new 2024 Elantra N and also the 2025 Ioniq 5N. We wanted to give everybody the enthusiast perspective on how we feel these cars have changed possibly over the years, starting from 2019 with the Veloster N all the way till now to the 2024 EN, and then how that translates and goes into what Hyundai did in turning an EV platform into a high performance EV. I've had the Elantra N for about 2 weeks now. I was able to drive pretty extensively on the highway and through some back roads. And comparing it to the pre-facelift, which is right behind me, that it's been explained by the Hyundai N engineering team that the suspension has been updated with better urethane bushings throughout. Also, obviously, the cosmetic changes. They listened to us when we asked for the new forged wheels and that were only available before overseas. This is the 6-speed manual. The clutch is very soft and easy and makes it for any level of enthusiasts, from novice all the way up to experience, to be able to drive the car. No big changes and when it comes to performance and speed of the car, but the handling is very smooth and very comfortable ride. Then that's in normal mode. And when you go into N mode, the car retains that nice stiffness for the adaptive suspension that everybody is used to. And then also they fixed the understeer issue with the new model. You know, a lot of people that were having on track days and normal canyon carving, they were noticing the understeer. So that has also been fixed with the new 2024. With that being said, I feel that Hyundai's intent was for obviously anybody to jump in the car and feel like they can take it to the track and be able to experience the end feeling of taking it to the track and being able to drive comfortably without feeling intimidated in doing so.
My name is Derek and Nnthusiasts. I'm with SoCal N Club as well, and I had the Ioniq 5N for about 2 weeks now. I'm going to explain how it is as an enthusiast coming from an ICE car to an EV car. So I do have some experience driving this car in South Korea on the track for about an hour, and then also in Portugal. Driving at the roads here is a completely different experience, and I'll kind of go through that. So going from a Kona to Ioniq 5N in terms of the ride height, when you're driving the car, it kind of comes naturally. The seating position is a little bit higher. The suspension is a little bit higher than the Elantra N. But this car alone by itself, with the suspension still being in a higher position, carves the canyons like no other car I've driven before. 641 horsepower with NGB is more than enough to do whatever you need to do. And also all you have to do is slap it in eco mode. You can get as much electricity savings as you need. Filling up a car with gas and filling up a car with electricity are two completely different things, two totally different experiences, some positive, some negative, mostly negative.
For real.
It does take a little while to charge, and there are Karens behind you waiting in line for about 45 minutes to get your car charged. Speaking of charging, the infrastructure that we have now in regards to going to the track, if whoever buys this does go to the track, you're going to have to plan out an additional hour or two just to get to the charger and back during your track day. A couple of complaints from people that do have the Ioniq 5N is that the suspension feels a little bit floaty even when you're in full N mode. However, when you go in full N mode and you bring it to the track, you don't feel any of the floatiness because the suspension tightens up for you, and you can get the rear end as loose as you want, as tight as you want, and really hit those corners like a corner rascal. So there's a couple modes you can hit while you're in the racetrack. One is I pedal, where you can let go of the accelerator and you have your nose dip into the rear end, get out a little bit as soon as you lift off the accelerator. Another way that you could have fun, this brings more into the enthusiast, is you can slap it into E-shift mode, which has simulated gears 1 through 8. The RPMs go all the way up, the simulated RPMs go all the way up to about 8,000, 9,000 RPM. There's 3 simulated noise modes. One of them is ignition, which is my favorite. It's a simulated motor, and you can actually turn that off or on inside the car. Also, there's some external speakers where you can turn it on or off so you can have other people experience the same thing that you're experiencing inside the car. With that being said, you want to go for a drive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. So, Kegan, you've driven this car on and off track in different countries. Do you think enthusiasts are ready for this car?
Yeah, I think coming from the other N vehicles available to us in the US, the Veloster, Elantra, and Kona, having experience driving all those vehicles, and then being able to drive this in Korea on the racetrack, I think we're ready for it. It's the EV platform Hyundai decided to use to make a high-performance EV. Wasn't something that anybody really expected, and it was done phenomenally, in my own opinion. I had my own reservations about an EV being used in such a way. I'm a more ICE-oriented enthusiast, and when I finally drove this and on the racetrack, I was blown away.
No, I completely agree. Going from ICE to EV is a switch that you would have to get used to if you wanted to do something like this. There's a whole different life between charging your car and getting gas, and that's basically the main switching point.
For real.
Besides that, it has all the N DNA that all N cars have in terms of daily drivability, corner rascal, taken to the track.
Yes.
You just have to add that additional time to have that charging time to get you through your track day.
Taking the EV platform and taking advantage of the parts of an EV that you don't get in an ICE vehicle, the instant torque and the regenerative braking going on the track, and using that to your advantage and putting it into a performance-oriented vehicle altogether, with the adaptive suspension and everything that comes originally from the previous N vehicles, and a corner carving differential, which that translates differently into an EV motor, which is already there. But and then making it all-wheel drive, the big one of the biggest things.
And N's first all-wheel drive.
And N's first all-wheel drive, and not only that, being able to adjust the bias here right on to what you want for your driving needs.
Yep.
For a over 4,000 pound SUV. That's the other thing. Then you got to deal with the weight. And how did Hyundai do that? They gave it a bigger brakes and made use of the electric motors in order to stop the vehicle as well. And it surprisingly goes through the corners, if not better, the same as my Veloster. Phenomenal and crazy for over a 4,000 pound car.
That's what's good about N too, is that all have different handling characteristics to suit the driver. So if you wanted more rear end out, or if you wanted more launch, whatever you want, the N brand can deliver whatever you need in terms of daily drivability.
Yes.
And going to the track, if you even want to go to the track, which is completely an option.
So looks like we came across an N meet. Let's see what they have to say about the Ioniq 5N.
So guys, my name is Rob. I really like the Ioniq, and as far as the performance goes, you know, I had a chance to drive my buddies. I was really blown back by the power that this thing has. You know, I'm coming from my 2020 Veloster N, you know, just from the get-go in the factory, like this thing rips on the street. And one thing too I've been obsessed with is I keep telling people about these, you know, the fenders, you know, how they almost look like they're in like pieces. And as you can see, you know, some of us like to mod our cars. So I'm like looking for things like that, you know, what can we do to this thing, you know? And it looks like you could just take these off and have some company make some kind of like wide body kit for it. Not that it probably needs it, but just, you know, just thinking along those lines of what can I do to this thing. It's really cool. And I'm excited to see what Hyundai has for the future of EV and in performance. I mean, it's come so far from the different generations. It's pretty insane. So yeah, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, Hyundai.
All right, so the Ioniq 5N, I'm a fan of going fast. So I really don't care if it's electric or gas. Only drawback is just the whole area to charge. But one thing I have to say is it's really awesome to see Hyundai competing with brands like Tesla. You see Teslas everywhere out here in Southern California. It's like the #1 electric car. And to see Hyundai go outside of the box and push a car where enthusiasts can relate with. I mean, every YouTube video that you see of people that want to dog an EV have nothing but good things to say about this car. So regardless if I like it or not, or if I would drive it, it's really cool to see that Hyundai is doing this and people want to talk smack about EVs, you know, just to go have some fun. But it's a beautiful car. I love the orange accents on it. They're not like the traditional red that you see on the other N cars. So it's just really awesome to see Hyundai just killing the game. So I love the car. Like I said, if we could afford one, we'd have one.
Hi everybody, I'm Emily and I personally love the i5N. I think that it's a perfect family car and it has like the horsepower that you need. So aside from it like losing the exhaust, to me personally, I just like that on a gas car, the exhaust sound, but of course it has all the tech inside that you still feel like you have that. If that's something you're into. So the options are really nice and overall, I think Hyundai killed it with the car.
So Kegan, we have 5 US-based N models here. Which one is your favorite?
Mine, I think, is always going to be the Veloster N. That was the first N that I ever drove and I have the most experience with, but that's not just the reason. The main reason, I will say. The biggest one is I've always been a hot hatch person, and when 2019 it came out, it just had everything that you could desire in a hot hatch. 6-speed manual transmission, short wheelbase, and then it had the ELSD and the adaptive suspension that just made it obviously everything to be desired in just a small package. And the way you can send this through the corner, I think, is the funnest thing ever. It's just, you just sail and it just likes to glide through the corners, and it will probably be one of my favorites of all time when it comes to N cars. Well, what about yourself? What's your favorite N car?
So it's got to be the red one over here. It's got to be the Kona, the Unicorn, 2-year builds, LSD, same motor as the Veloster, same suspension as the Veloster, like to call it a Veloster. It's capable at the track, it's capable at the canyon. It's a great daily driver. You keep it in comfort mode, the suspension is nice and soft. You hit N mode, gets really tight, rear end gets out whenever you need it, just by being front wheel drive. So out of the 5 that we have here today, it's got to be the red one.
Thanks, Hyundai, for making the Kona N. It's an awesome car, and can't thank you guys enough for all the opportunities I've had.
Thank you, Hyundai USA, for making the Veloster N. This has been a blast to drive, and it's literally changed my life.
Thank you Hyundai so much for making the Elantra N. It's such a great car and a great daily driver.